Welcome back. Welcome back. This is not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Markman. Shout out to everybody who's been tuning in, all the new subscribers, all the subscribers who've been here with me from day one. You know, I really feel like we're building something. And I appreciate y'all all. Y'all know I'm very active in the comments. So like, subscribe for sure. But definitely leave comments, man. If you leave comments, even if I don't agree with you, if it's something worth talking about, like as long as it's not like a troll comment, I'm more than likely going to respond, and so I'm down here for the conversation. All right, I want to do another video, another talk about Kendrick Lamar's new track. We still don't know the name. All right, it might be "Watch the Party Die," it might be "Black Forces." I've seen the theory, and a lot of y'all said in the comments, and it kind of makes sense that the record is just untitled because it was meant to be the Heart Part 6. A lot of times, the Heart, deals with the state of the industry and the state of the culture in music, in the streets, in the world. And this definitely has that feel. So since Drake took the Heart Part 6 for himself, that this one is just untitled, but is meant to be part of the Heart series, which precedes a Kendrick album. I don't know that for sure. That's just a theory that I've seen. That's a theory that I've seen a lot of y'all mention in the comments. And yeah, I mean, could be like plausible. Like that'd be interesting. Also, I just wanted to update on the production credits, right? So it looks like it's still unconfirmed, but it looks like Soundwave is a producer on here. Jack Antonoff a producer on here. Jack Antonoff from the Bleachers, works a lot with Taylor Swift. I've interviewed Jack once. Virginia's interesting dude. So Soundwave, Jack Antonoff, Pasquet, and Greg Sekiris. Looks like still unconfirmed, but that's what I'm hearing in terms of production. What I want to talk about today was this notion, and you see it in the headline, so you know. I've seen quite a few people. I've seen outlets. I've seen other commentators, media personalities, pundits, and I've seen a lot of fans, especially on my Twitter when I started posting about this, saying this is a Drake diss song, tying it to Drake, and I just don't believe that. I think this is bigger than a diss. I think that battle is over. Kendrick said in the Super Bowl ads, "No round twos." That wasn't an accident. That was a very direct. To me, that was a very direct response to Drake's "We're gonna win game 2" IG post. Kendrick says there's no round twos. I don't think Kendrick has any desire to continue engaging in the one-on-one battle. I think this is bigger than that. Right. And I said this back. I'm going to bring some old footage back. I said this back right after Euphoria dropped, my reaction video to Euphoria, where I said, though this is Kendrick versus Drake, in a lot of ways, this was a tug of war of hip hop at its core. Hip hop at its core, like culture, people who really value culture and what this music and what this art means and what community means and what it means to build and what it means to push forward. So it's a tug of war of the people who believe that, and hip hop and culture being sold at its highest commercial level. Culture versus commerce is what I called it. I just want to run this video back. It's less than a minute. Check this out. This is Kendrick versus Drake, but this is very much a tug of war between hip hop at its core and hip hop at its highest commercial level. All right. Talking about culture versus commerce. And that's not to say that Drake is devoid of all culture, but Drake, in this instance, the way that Kendrick is setting it up, Drake represents commerce. The way that Kendrick is setting it up, Drake represents commerce. And that's not to say, and we can't say that Kendrick isn't about his money. Kendrick makes a lot of money. Kendrick sells a lot of records. Those ticket prices, those tour are not cheap. So Kendrick is about his money, but again, it's being set up. Kendrick represents the culture. All right, boom. So that's back in April. That's back when Euphoria dropped, and I said that then. So I think the battle is over now, but I think this tug of war, this culture versus commerce, is still on Kendrick's mind. And maybe he won't call it culture versus commerce. He might call it something else, but it's definitely this tug of war, and that's what this song feels like. Now, it's just so funny because, like I said, I've seen sites post that it's a diss song, sites that I respect, reporters that I respect. I saw pundits and commentators and post that it was a diss song, and I just have to respectfully disagree. Let's be real. There's incentive to make this a Drake diss. You tie this record to Drake, you get more clicks. All right. You get more clicks, you get more ad money, or you go more viral. You maybe pull sponsors in. Like there's a financial incentive, obviously, to go viral to get more clicks. Making this tied to Drake does that. That's just the way the business works. But I think it's a little disingenuous because I think it's bigger. I think actually making it about Drake is easy. I think us looking at ourselves as a culture and the part that we all play, especially those of us who work in the business, is a much harder conversation to have. It's much harder to reflect on that. And Kendrick, and I want to be real, and we'll get into some of the lyrics. I'm not going to do a lyric breakdown. I did that already. But Kendrick is not just talking about the industry. He's talking about the streets as well. He's talking about, culture in a very broad sense, but he does hone in and zero in on the music industry. So sites, people with YouTube channels, social media platforms are incentivized to tie this to Drake because it increases the SEO. It increases the clickability. Now, when I did my last video, I took an excerpt of it and I posted it on Twitter and I posted it on Instagram just to promote the YouTube, to get people to come back to the YouTube, but also to have conversation. And it was about the personalities, pushing propaganda part of the video. In that whole clip, I didn't mention Drake. I didn't make it about Drake. I didn't put Drake in the caption. I didn't do any of that. And I had a lot of fans, Drake fans, like if we're being real, start just coming at me, like talking about Drake and, trying to diss me or play me or say I'm being too one-sided or whatever. And the clip had nothing to do with Drake. So why do the fans do that, right? I just explained why media is incentivized to make it about Drake. I think for the fans, and some of them are bots. I still find it very hard to tell who's a bot and who's not. I'm learning. But the fans, there's this narrative right now that that justifies a notion that the only way we can care about a Kendrick Lamar song or Kendrick Lamar record or anything Kendrick does is because it's Drake. Because it's tied to Drake. Because it has to do with Drake. He's dissing Drake. That's the only reason y'all care. That's the only reason y'all cover him. It's a fan notion, And it's bullshit and it's delusional. Kendrick Lamar is one of the biggest artists hip hop has seen in the past decade. I mean, the guy sells out arenas, multi-platinum. He charts. He's commercially successful on his own. Now, two things can be true. This battle has brought him to, he's usually quiet, so the battle brings him to a higher height that he wouldn't have otherwise been. Drake being the draw that he is in terms of popularity has something to do that, but also just the fact that it was conflict. If it was Kendrick versus J. Cole, we also just love to see conflict, so that factors into it too. Being in a battle is going to increase your popularity. But the notion that Kendrick somehow needs Drake or needs to talk about Drake or needs to make diss records for Drake to be relevant is a bullshit notion. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be for real. And I've been doing this a long time. I mean, I've been covering Kendrick since 2009, since I was in XXL. Like, cut it out. Like, you definitely can't have that argument with me. You know what I'm saying? I've been aboard this whole time. So, there's that. But, it goes back to, again, in my eyes and in my opinion, the record is about something much bigger. It's about those who want to push hip-hop culture forward and elevate it. And not just hip-hop, street culture too. Those who want to uplift versus those who position themselves in the culture for their own selfish gain, right? And look around you. I mean, there's rumors going down that Atlantic just dropped like 50 artists. Like people are getting laid off again. A lot of rap artists, a lot of black executives, a lot of people in black music are getting laid off. These are the rumors. So you're gonna want to watch that industry news too. Something's going down, man. Things are shifting, things are changing. Uh, and again, I called this out back with Euphoria. Like this was the underlying part of the battle. Though Euphoria was directed at Drake, though 616 in LA was directed at Drake, Not Like Us was directed at Drake. All Meet the Grams was directed at Drake. Absolutely. I think these records have the same kind of urgency or the same kind of message, but it's not directed at Drake. But if the shoe fits, wear it. You either fit in one box or another, right? Like Kendrick is calling out, what does he say? He's calling out influencers, right? Influencers talk down because I'm not with the basic shit, but they don't hate me. They hate what I represent. He talked about personalities, pushing propaganda, and I think that's radio. Probably with what people say on the airwaves, I think it's people on platforms like mine and not being responsible with their message, and also too about the records that they push. You know what I'm saying? You kind of get on radio and you have to play these records. That's how you get paid. That's your salary. You have to play these records, and sometimes you play a record that you don't want to play, right? Like because it's bullshit. On the street level, right? He said we even kill the killers because they taking innocent lives. Burn the whole village. We start over is really that time. So that's the street aspect of it, right? If you parade in gluttony without giving truth to the youth, the graveyard is company. To me, that goes hand in hand when he's talking about rappers, right? He says, I think it's time to watch the party die. Street and the corporate guys, the rappers that report the lies. I need their families mortified. We could do life without them. Get their bodies organized. Like he's corralling everybody. It's like you're either on this side or you're on the other side. But then again, he does this roll call. Like, what side are you on, right? Where's the soldiers at? That's his roll call. That's him calling out to his like-minded people, right? Where the soldiers at? The one that lost it all and learned from that. A thirst for life, head inside a book because he's concerned with that. Information that'll change his life because he yearns for that. Dedication, finding out what's right because he can earn from that. So it's really pitting, Kendrick kind of sees it with this duality, I think. And I can't speak for him. Again, I always preface it with only Kendrick knows what he means, right? But there are these people who are very much concerned with culture and upliftment and bettering the community and bettering ourselves and leaving something for the future and the kids and the generations who come after us. And then, there are people who parade in gluttony without giving truth to the youth. You know what I'm saying? There's the rapper line again, the rappers that report the lies, the greedy corporate guys, you know what I'm saying? The guys pillow talking, just starting neighborhood wars. Like you're not bringing people together. You're dividing. You're separating. So the radio personality pushing propaganda for salary. We talked about that before, and like I said, the more I think about it, I related it to personalities like myself. Though I'm not on radio, I don't know who he meant, or if he meant everybody in general, or if there was a few select ones. Again, only he knows. But also those radio personalities, and a lot of them, I know a lot of them cover shit. They'll you talk a good game, but then you still got to play bullshit records. I work at Genius. I do a lot to usher in artists to talk about their records, to spotlight their talent. We've absolutely spotlighted some bullshit records. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's complicit. Everybody has to look in the fucking mirror and see what part they play in all of this. I've also, there's also been times that I've been faced. I think I talked about this before though, but I had one particular artist. I won't say who it is, but it's a drill artist from Brooklyn. He had beef with another drill artist from Brooklyn, and they two teams was going at it. And dude was like, "Yo, I want to come down to Genius to break down my lyrics for this diss record." And I'm like, "Nah. You can come, you can break down your lyrics. I respect you as an artist, but you can't break down that record because that record, that conversation is going to lead to something destructive. Break down the record, break down the one you wrote about a girl that you was dealing with. break down the other record, but you're not gonna break down that diss record because this is more than rap competition. Somebody gonna get hurt. So sometimes you got to make those decisions. But I'm not exempting myself. We spotlighted some bullshit. In times we done 2,000 episodes of Verified. What's that? The yellow background. There's definitely been some bullshit on there. Maybe not detrimental to that point. Maybe so. It all depends. It's all subjective. But I say all that to say, that radio personality pushing propaganda for salary. When I talk about that, I don't exempt myself completely. I know what I stand for. I know what side I'm on. I'm on the side of pushing the culture forward, and that's what I strive to. Could I have done things better along the way? Of course. But I say all that to say, and I'm going to wind this down, but, I think this record, again, not a Drake diss record, I think it's for the culture. For everybody to take a long, hard look at themselves and the part they play in this. Fans, too. Things we support, the things we click on, because that support is currency. That attention is currency. The algorithm can't tell. Sometimes we, like the Island Boys. Y'all remember the Island Boys? Or Tekashi 6ix9ine. Or I would see people retweet that all the time and share that and talk about how much they hate it. I hate this shit. Oh my God, this ain't real hip hop. And you'll engage with the content. The algorithm can't tell the difference between a hate tweet and it's just an engagement, and the engagement is positive. So even as fans, the things that we engage with, the things that we choose to click, we elevate those things. So I like this record, man. I think it's dope. I think it's a great conversation piece. I think it's great art, and I think it makes all of us take a long, hard look about the role we play and what we want out of life, what we want out of our culture, what we want for our people, and how we go about being intentional to go get it. I would love to speak to Kendrick about this and kind of break this down, and I want to hear his position and his stance, and we've seen ways that he's supported culture, absolutely. Were there times when he was human like the rest of us and he fell short? And he might have did something like, damn, looking back at it, I might not have done this. Like, that's the conversation we need to have with each other. And I think this record gives us the opportunity to do that. It's bigger than Drake. So those are just my thoughts, man. Like, subscribe, that. Hit me in the comments. Talk to me. I'm going to talk back. Until the next time, all right? Peace.